The iPhone 18 Pro series is rumored to bring one of the most meaningful camera upgrades we've seen on an iPhone in years, a variable aperture main camera. While this change might not sound flashy at first, it has the potential to dramatically improve everyday photos, especially in tricky lighting and challenging shooting conditions. According to a new leak from Tipster Digital Chat Station, Apple is planning to move away from the fully fixed aperture approach it has used for generations and introduce a more flexible camera system on the iPhone 18 Pro lineup. This upgrade is said to target real-world issues like inconsistent sharpness, depth of field control, and low-light performance that users commonly notice in close-ups and group shots. Apple's iPhone cameras have long been praised for their reliability, color accuracy, and consistency. However, even the best camera systems come with compromises. On current models, including the iPhone 17 Pro series, a fixed aperture means the camera has to work around one setting for how much light it can take in. This works well in many scenarios, but it can struggle when the scene demands different levels of light and depth control, such as tight close-up shots where parts of the subject can look softer than expected, group photos where some faces appear sharp, while others fall out of focus. High contrast scenes where highlights and shadows are hard to balance. A variable aperture system aims to solve these problems by allowing the main camera to physically adjust how wide or narrow the lens opening is, depending on the scene. How a variable aperture could improve iPhone 18 Pro photos. With a variable aperture, the iPhone 18 Pro camera would be able to adapt more intelligently to different situations. Better low-light performance in darker environments. The lens could open up to a wider aperture, letting in more light. This should result in brighter, cleaner photos with less noise and fewer motion blur issues, especially when shooting indoors at night or in dimly lit scenes. Improve depth control and sharpness in scenes where you want more of the frame in focus, like group shots, landscapes, or cityscapes. The camera could stop down to a narrower aperture. This helps keep more subjects sharp from front to back, reducing those edge softness quirks users have learned to expect on current iPhones. More. Balanced highlights and shadows of variable aperture gives the system another tool to handle high-contrast scenes. Instead of relying entirely on software and sensor tricks, the camera can use the physical aperture to better manage how much light hits the sensor, helping preserve details in bright skies and deep shadows. Fewer focus misses in complex scenes with the ability to adjust aperture. The camera can be more forgiving when focusing on subjects at different distances. This could reduce moments where the phone locks onto the wrong subject or produces photos where only a small area is sharply in focus. All of this would likely happen automatically in the background. If Apple implements it well, most users won't need to think about aperture at all. Photos would simply look more consistent, sharper, and more natural across a wider range of scenes. Other expected camera upgrades for the iPhone 18 Pro. The variable aperture isn't the only improvement rumored for Apple's upcoming Pro lineup. Multiple reports and leaks suggest Apple is working on a broader camera overhaul that could unfold over several generations. Wider aperture telephoto lens. The telephoto camera on the iPhone 18 Pro could receive a wider aperture, which would help it perform better in low-light zoom shots. This means clearer, less noisy zoom photos at night or indoors, where telephoto lenses typically struggle the most. New 3-layer stacked sensor. At least one iPhone 18 Pro model is said to be getting a new 3-layer stacked image sensor developed by Samsung. This type of sensor design can improve readout speed, dynamic range, and noise handling, leading to faster image capture, improved detail in highlights and shadows, cleaner results in challenging lighting conditions, larger 111.12-inch main sensor, future generations. The same leak points to Apple working on a significantly larger 11.12-inch main sensor for upcoming models. A larger sensor can capture more light and detail, offering better low-light performance, greater dynamic range, more natural background blur without needing heavy software processing. This upgrade is reportedly in development for future iPhones and may not debut on the first iPhone 18 Pro generation. Improved ultra-wide stabilization. Apple is also rumored to be improving stabilization on the ultra-wide camera. Stronger stabilization can help reduce blur while shooting handheld video, improve sharpness in wide handheld photos, make action shots and ultra-wide night photos more usable 200 MP periscope telephoto lens, future models. One of the most ambitious upgrades in the pipeline is said to be a 200 MP periscope telephoto lens. While this is expected in later generations, rather than the first iPhone 18 Pro release, it signals Apple's intent to push long-range zoom performance much further. A 200 MP periscope system could offer more detail at high zoom levels, allow for more flexible cropping while retaining sharpness, compete more aggressively with Android flagships known for their zoom capabilities. Variable aperture isn't new, but Apple could refine it. Variable aperture has been tried before. Samsung introduced it on the Galaxy S9 back in 2018, allowing the camera to switch between two aperture settings. However, the feature didn't become a long-term staple in Samsung's lineup at that time, and it largely faded from mainstream attention. More recently, several Chinese flagship smartphones have revisited variable aperture with more advanced, multi-step systems that offer greater control over light and depth. These newer implementations have shown clearer real-world benefits for both stills and video. Apple's strength has always been in taking complex technologies and turning them into invisible, user-friendly improvements. If the iPhone 18 Pro series does adopt a variable aperture main camera, Apple's challenge will be to integrate the hardware seamlessly with its computational photography, ensure automatic mode delivers consistent benefits without confusion. Make the experience feel it just works, rather than a niche feature. Only enthusiasts use. If Apple gets this balance right, variable aperture could become one of those background upgrades that meaningfully improves photos without requiring users to change how they shoot. Shots that used to look slightly soft, noisy, or inconsistent could simply start looking cleaner, sharper, and more natural. What this could mean for iPhone 18 Pro buyers. The iPhone 18 Pro lineup is expected to arrive around mid-September, following Apple's usual release cycle. If the current leaks are accurate, the camera upgrade story for this generation seems less about flashy new modes and more about polishing the experience. Smoother, more reliable results across a range of scenes, fewer small camera quirks in group shots, close-ups, and low-light subtle but meaningful improvements that show up in day-to-day use rather than just in spec sheets. For users already on recent Pro models, such as the iPhone 16 Pro or iPhone 17 Pro, the decision to upgrade may come down to how much they value these refinements. If variable aperture and the other under-the-hood improvements significantly reduce the little inconsistencies they notice now, like occasional focus misses, edge softness, or noisy zoom shots, the iPhone 18 Pro could feel like a more mature and dependable camera system overall. As development continues and launch day approaches, more details are likely to surface. But if Apple truly delivers on variable aperture, a wider aperture telephoto, and next-generation sensors, the iPhone 18 Pro series could quietly become one of the most capable and consistent camera phones on the market, even if the changes don't sound revolutionary at first glance.